was the PKTT, the first task team to be disbanded. In fact, first and only to be disbanded. But my focus is more on first. Why was it the first task team to be disbanded?
Now, I've indicated, Commissioner, that the first to be disbanded was not even a task team. It was a unit.
I said earlier, let's forget about the inspectorate, which you have said was a unit. I'm talking task teams, Minister.
Yes.
Why did you pick on the PKTT to be the first and only thus far, actually, victim of disbandment?
Now, we have stated the reasons that in our discussion, our assessment, our attention got caught by PKTT, and in view of us discussing the structure in relation to murder and robbery and all of the history that we have been indicating, and there is no other task team that fell in that particular category as we were discussing. PKTT had been almost 7 years and there was impact on the budget and other related matters. So it came. If there was any other task team that came, and I'm sure there would have been another that would have come later on, but it was this one that caught our attention, and we then discussed it.
Minister, when did, I know I said last question, yes. I hope this will be the last. Okay. When did the thought that I must disband the PKTT first strike you?
It was 29, 30, 31. On those days when I was no longer moving up and down, I was just sitting and reflecting on what we had been doing in the last 5 months. And I picked up what I thought were the most important things, especially by the end of the 6 months, and things that would have needed to focus on at the beginning of the year, and which had a lot of impact on crime. And we then said, I identified those three. But it was just a process that came when I sat down, 29, 30, 31.
Minister, why I'm asking you that is because the very day before, the first one of the 3 days that you mentioned, the 29th. So the very day before, the 28th of November 2024, December 2024, you were at a funeral, I think it was in Mpangen, together with the National Commissioner of Police. And after the funeral, you wished each other well for the end of the year and so on. And you do not for a minute say to the National Commissioner, I am thinking of, in fact, I have decided to disband the PKTT. And starting tomorrow, I'm actually going to work on my document in that regard. But I know what your answer will be. Your answer is going to be, no, Commissioner, you are talking about the 28th, and the thought struck me only on the 29th. I was going to say to you, it is very strange that you did not mention the disbandment to the National Commissioner on the 28th. But I will not suggest it because you say you were suddenly struck by this thought on the 29th. I will leave it at that. But I find it very strange that on something so important with the sort of implications that you yourself realized, because you say you did not expect it, even though you said immediately, you did not expect it to happen there and there, on something so important with such implications that you would only have thought of it within 3 days of the issuance of your letter. So you think now and you act very quickly within 3 days. Poof, you've decided on an issue that is that important with all of these implications. I would, as I say, have suggested that at the latest, you should have mentioned this to the National Commissioner on the 28th at the funeral at Mpangeni.